Hello, friends. I did a vulnerability scan with Nessus, right? Nessus is a vulnerability tool for for identifying or for trying to find vulnerabilities in a particular host, right? So I've got two scans here. So I have my Metasploitable 3 open. Yeah, I have that service open. So that's what I scan. And yeah, you can see the various vulnerabilities has been arranged according to severity. So we have critical, that shows that that vulnerability is really, critical, like it says. We have mixed, we have high, we have medium, we have some information that we've gotten from the other device, right? So the whole purpose of this video is to try to exploit the Metasploitable 3 machine I have based on the information I have here. So I want to try to exploit the RMI registry detection, right? So we can see it says it acts as a bootstrap naming service for registering and retrieving remote objects with simple names in a Java remote method. So we can see the RMI service runs on Java, right? So I want to try to use Metasploit, you know, um, to exploit this particular service. To try if we can get a Meterpreter session so that we can, access the system. So I'll start the Metasploit, you know, framework. Yeah. So we have the framework here. Sorry. Yeah. So we have the Metasploit framework here. And it says there is an RMI service running on port 1099. So we want to try to see if it's true there is a port like that. So I want to do a port scanning using Nmap, right? So bear with me. So sudo Nmap. We want to do a sync scan, and also I want to try to identify the version of that particular services, the various services running on that host, right? And so that's the IP address of that particular host. That's the Metasploitable 3. And I want to scan from the port 1 to 65. So basically, the total ports we have in the system. So Ali. Now let's wait for us to get the output. Right. Now, as we try to get the output, we know the RMI runs on Java. So the first thing I want to do is to try to find out the exploits I can find uh, to try to access the Java RMI. So Java RMI. Okay, great. So according to Metasploit's models, we can see we have some auxiliaries, we have an exploit. And so let's see. We want to try to get a Meterpreter session to try to access the system. So I want to go for this, right? So an exploit. So I just copy this here. Then in order to be able to use this exploit, I have to use the keyword use, and then I'll paste the exploit here. Great. So you can see it says no payload configured. Now, if you want to exploit or hack into a system, right, you need to select a payload. We know payload basically has the so basically the payload is what's gonna carry the packet or what you want to transfer to the to the other device, right? So I'll type show payload just to know the various available payloads we have to be able to use in exploiting this RMI service. Now, like I said earlier, we want to try to have a Meterpreter session. So let's see. Um, so I want to go for this payload. So payload Java Meterpreter. So I'll just copy it. Now to be able to use a payload, I'll just have to type set payload. So then I'll paste it in there. Right. So we've set the payload. Now there are certain parameters we need to also work on. So I'll type show options. So we can see that in order for us to successfully exploit the RMI service, we need to set the R host, that's the remote host. Yeah, so the remote host basically will be the IP address for the other device, no, net, yeah, so the other device we want to exploit. And we already have the default remote ports, yeah. Like we can see in Nessus, it says the port uh 1099 is that's where the RMI service is running. So we'll leave that, right? So in order to set the remote host, we set R host and then two dot. So that's the IP address of the Metasploitable 3, right? So show info, right? So we can see we have all the parameters set. It means it's time for us to get into assessing the system, right? So when you do show info, it basically gives you an information on what that exploit is basically about, right? So you can see there's a description here just for for your per user. So now we have our payload sets, we have all the parameter sets, then we are ready to exploit the system. To exploit, I just type exploit and let's see what happens. Wonderful, right? Awesome. So we have a Meterpreter session here. So that means we've been able to enter into the system. Congratulations. So we can do sys info, be sure. Yeah. So you can see we are in the system. So metaspreadable and yeah. Now, in order to know the various commands you can use in the Meterpreter session, you can just type help, and that's gonna give you all the various commands you can use, right? So let's try. We can type if config, right? So that shows us the interface, the various interfaces, the MAC address. We can see the MAC address. We have the IP addresses and all that, right? So yeah, so we've been able to access the or exploit the system using Metasploit, you know. Yeah, and so here there are a lot of things we can do here. You can see get UID. It shows root. So we have the root privilege or the root access. It means we can do anything we want to do. So let's try and see if we can get the password. Wow, we can open it. You see? So we even have access because we have the root privilege. We can be able to read sensitive data like the password file and all that. So what we just did was we based on the results I had from scanning the machine using Nessus, I tried to exploit one of the vulnerabilities, and yeah, I've been able to launch a Meterpreter session on that. So that is the end of this video, and thanks a lot. Yeah, so before I go, when I did a port scanning on the device or the host machine. Yeah, we can see um Java RMI is there, right? Yeah. So thank you guys and see you next time.